unit they have on the roster. I don't know what your opinions are.
This might shock you a little bit, but I think my biggest concern about the Cubs in this postseason is where Jake Arrieta's at.
Yeah.
And that's a weird thing to say because if you asked me at the beginning of the season, who are you most confident in? I'd say Jake Arrieta, like 100%. Now, I'm still confident in Jake, but I am a little bit concerned. Because, I mean, pitching is important in the postseason. I've heard the narrative, like, pitching wins. Let me finish.
Never heard that before.
Heard the narrative, pitching wins championships or takes you far in the playoffs. I don't necessarily believe in that, but it is important. And that number 3 guy, if you're looking to clinch a series, he needs to be on. And I'm a little bit concerned about Jake. Not overly concerned, but just enough that it's causing me a little bit of trouble.
If you're looking at the starting rotation and like maybe the one spot that something could go wrong, I guess you would look at Jake, maybe Lackey on the back end too. But I'm with you. Like he definitely, hasn't played up to his standard of the last year and a half recently. But I think more for Jake this year, he prepared more for playoff baseball and the long haul as compared to last year where, his sights were set on, the regular season and finishing up strong, stuff like that. So I don't know. I think we might see a little bit of a different mindset from him coming into this one.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely managed his innings better this year, and you won't see the fatigue, I don't think. It's just the location for him and him not getting behind in counts is something that's really concerning to me.
Yeah, he definitely has some technical issues that he has to get right a little bit at least, Like you said, just got to get ahead in counts and, work those crazy off-speed pitches he has. So,
yeah, I mean, he just got to be Jake. And if he's Jake, then we're going to be just fine. If our 1, 2, 3 spots in rotation, I mean, Joe Madden did finalize that today, if anyone missed that. Your number 1 is going to be Big Bad John Lester, number 2, Kyle Hendricks, 3, Jake Arrieta, and 4, John Lackey.
And we were right.
Everyone was right on that one.
Everyone was right. I don't think I heard anyone say anything different.
Yeah,
so.
I was pretty confident that was going to be the case. Now we wait on the roster, which will be out in the coming days.
Yeah.
By the time you hear us next,
there'll be 2 games played?
No, there'll be 3, 4, I think.
Oh, wow. Is it 3 days in a row?
No, it's Friday, Saturday.
Breakup? Yeah, and
Friday,
then
Saturday
Monday.
break, Monday, Tuesday.
So we might be a little late next Tuesday, I take it.
We might be a little late. We'll see. But another thing I want to talk about is if you had to pick a player to break out in the postseason, who's it going to be?
I like this question because I feel like there's like 3 or 4 guys that I could answer with. I kind of want to say Addison Russell because, he was injured for the Mets series, and I think he's looking for like a big bounce back. Mm-hmm. But I think we're going to see Javi Baez flash. Offensively, defensively, I think he could be an X factor throughout the playoffs.
All right, here's mine, and this guy is just getting hot at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
I think Zobrist, and I'm saying that because he's been here before a lot. He's been in the postseason. He's a vet.
Yeah.
And he's been starting to turn it around lately. I don't know. I just have a weird feeling about him. And you know who I think is going to be, when it's all said and done, World Series MVP. Get ready for this.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Dexter Fowler.
Oh, no, different, but I like it.
Who would you think I was going to say?
To be honest, I honestly thought you would go down the Jason Hayward route.
He's very due.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you know how sports are. Like, weird things like that happen. You know, you have a terrible season, everyone's down on you all year, and then you make a couple amazing plays in huge games, and everything changes.
Yeah, I can't jump on the Hayward bandwagon right now. I haven't been extremely happy with him. I hope he has a great postseason. I think he will have a good postseason. It's kind of like a fresh start for a lot of people.
That's kind of what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
So a way to like kind of, I don't know, just like you said, start anew and kind of forget about what you did in the regular season.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe we'll decide to just throw in an extra pod in there this week when after a couple games of this series, just to kind of break it down and talk about it.
I like it.
But we'll see what happens with those Cubs.
One second before I move on.
Yeah.
So like they're scheduled to play on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So their last game was Sunday, right?
I believe so.
So that's almost like it's like 5 days since the last game. Like, I feel like it could affect them in some way. I don't know how you feel about the long layoff time for them, because I know the other games, some games start on Thursday. There's one game that starts on Friday too, but I'm not saying it will affect them, but you know, it's kind of a weird little break in between, you know.
It is weird. They did play a simulation game today, which, I mean, it's not the real thing, for sure.
Yeah.
Another thing you have to keep in mind is just the adrenaline going. When you're playing at home, game one, I mean, they're going to be amped. They're going to be ready to go. They've been waiting for this. They've just been sitting around waiting for the postseason for, like, a very long time.
The last 2 months, basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to feel like forever until Friday.
I'll say this: I think Joe and company did as much as they possibly could to get them ready with the extra time, since they won the division so early.
Yeah, I do not think fatigue will be a factor at all.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Fatigue or starting slow, I think they'll be good. But yeah, we will see.
We'll see. Blake, the Bears won a football game.
I cannot believe it.
It's amazing. First home win since October 2nd, 2015 against the Raiders.
The Raiders.
So that's incredible. They beat the Lions first time since 2012, which I was just graduating high school. Moving to a place called North Park University and meeting my roommate, Blake Van Pocky. So
I was your roommate?
Yeah, you were, unfortunately.
Wow. Now we're here.
Rough time for me.
Rough life.
So that's a first win. 2016. We're on the board. 13-3, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who I was really impressed with. Well, I was impressed with a couple of people, but we talked about this last week. Jordan Howard had 132 total yards, 111 rushing yards, 21 passing yards, 4.8 yards per carry. He is very good. I feel like his vision is very solid, and his lateral quickness is good. I like him moving forward a lot, and he kind of just gave us a glimpse of what he could be.
Yeah, absolutely. He showed in one game his instincts are much better than Howard or than Langford. It shows that he's more consistent of a pass catcher, I would say. And I think this offensive line is made more for a guy like him who's better between the tackles than a guy like Langford. So for a first game in the NFL, or first start in the NFL, he looked pretty good. I mean, he went against a really weak Lions front seven. Well, I wouldn't say it's like totally weak, but it's not one of the stronger ones for sure. And he torched him for most of the game. He had a bunch of big runs, and he seemed to just keep getting those 5 yards every time the Bears needed it. So good start for him.
Yeah, he's been really impressive so far, and I think he's definitely getting the nod over Langford at this point. Eddie Royal, the dependable slot receiver that he is, had 7 receptions, 111 yards, TD. And Brian Hoyer was able to find him a couple times, and we'll talk about Hoyer in a second. But now with Kevin White going down, do we know the significance of that injury yet?
I've been waiting around to hear the news, but I haven't heard anything yet. I could have just missed it, but I don't think anything's been announced yet.
Yeah, I don't think you'd miss it. And I was looking too, and I haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
But the production of Eddie Royal, very important, especially if Kevin White is out for a little bit of time or a significant amount of time. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely.
And he just had a really good game. He's a fantastic route runner. We know that. Dependable guy.
Yeah, he had his best game as a Bear for sure on Sunday. Caught balls in space and was moving as he caught it. We saw that big run, that big catch and run in the third quarter. Just kind of looking like a guy that Hoyer can rely on when Alshon or Kevin is covered. So it was good to see. It was good to see him after an injured season last year, kind of bounce back and have a big game.
Yeah. Question for you.
Yeah.
When Jay Cutler is healthy, who is the Bears' starting quarterback?
I'll say it should be Jay Cutler, but my feeling is it's going to be Brian Hoyer, just because of how Fox has kind of what he said in the media about the whole situation. He's kind of taken Hoyer's side, saying, if we're winning, we're obviously going to stay with the guy we're winning with. So, we'll see. I don't think there'll still be winning football games when Cutler does come back. I think they'll be in a little more turmoil because they have some tougher opponents coming up a little later in the season. But right now, Brian Hoyer looks like it's his job to lose.
Yeah, I really have no answer for that question because I have no idea. This team makes me scratch my head from time to time. I am a fellow Jay Cutler apologist, for sure.
Yeah.
I have his back in times, but it is time to move on. I think it sounds like everyone's just kind of done with him. So
yeah,
we'll see. It's been a long run.
It has been
a lot of bad times, some good times. Not a lot of consistency.
Yeah, he hasn't been bad by any means, I don't think. He's had high interception numbers, but he's done good things, and interceptions are just a part of his game, unfortunately. But it's time. It's looking like it's time. Even if he finishes out the season and has a good season, it still looks like it's time for him and for the Bears and him to move on. So,
yeah, the defense showed up on Sunday. Definitely, Vic Fangio had his guys ready to go. They're swarming everywhere. Last year's standout Adrian Amos had 7 tackles, 1 pass deflection, and then just played really well in coverage. Hakeem Hicks 3 tackles and a sack. And then you noted here that the entire secondary just played extremely well.
Yeah, Matt Stafford is known for putting up 300-yard games like nothing, and they held him to 198.
That is less than 300.
That is a lot less than 300. And they picked him off twice, too. And all game, he had nowhere to throw to. He was really having a tough time finding his receivers, so by far the best game the secondary has played this season. And Adrian Amos is starting to look like a Pro Bowl type safety. He's starting to figure it out in coverage. We saw him on linebacker or on tight ends all game and played pretty good defense on him. And he's a thumper. That guy can hit anybody, and cause serious damage. So